"Sir, can I buy a dad?" Those were the exact words that froze the entire room. The receptionist had been typing away, barely paying attention, when she heard the soft voice. Looking down, she saw a tiny girl, no older than 6, with tangled hair, old sneakers, and a paper envelope in her hand. Her coat was too big for her, sleeves flopping over her hands like she was wearing someone else's life. She stared ahead, eyes wide but steady, not blinking as she looked into the office of one of the most powerful CEOs in Toronto, Mr. Graham Whitaker, a man whose name sat on buildings, whose face graced magazines, but whose heart, most people believed, had long frozen behind corporate walls. Graham was in a meeting. He didn't like interruptions. But something made his assistant knock gently and whisper, "Sir, there's a little girl, and she says she wants to buy a dad." At first, Graham almost dismissed it as a prank. But then curiosity got the better of him. "Send her in," he said sharply, expecting her to burst into tears or get nervous. But the little girl marched in with a kind of bravery that doesn't come from confidence, but from desperation. She stood in front of him, eyes locked on his. "My name is Lila. My mom says we can't afford a dad. But I've been saving up," she said, and opened the envelope, revealing a few wrinkled bills and coins. "This is all I have. Can I buy one? Just for weekends, maybe." Silence stretched across the room like a held breath. Graham looked at her. Really looked. And for a moment, he was no longer the cold-hearted businessman. He was the young boy who had once sat on cold steps waiting for a dad who never came back. "Where's your mom?" he asked softly. "She's working 2 jobs. At the diner and cleaning houses. She says dads are expensive because they leave and take everything. But I don't want everything. I just want someone who can play catch. Or maybe eat spaghetti with us. My mom cries when I pretend to make her birthday cake out of dirt. But I don't want to pretend anymore." The words hit him like a wave, pulling at memories he buried deep. "I'm not for sale," he finally said, almost whispering. "I figured," she sighed, looking down. "People say rich folks don't have time. But I thought I'd try. I saw you on the news. You smiled when that boy gave you a drawing. You looked like maybe you had a little good in you." Her voice didn't accuse. It didn't beg. It simply stated a belief that goodness could still live in someone, even if the world said otherwise. Graham stood up. "Where do you live?" "Dundas and Sherbourne," she replied. That part of Toronto wasn't kind, especially not to little girls with envelopes full of dreams. Graham made a decision that no one expected, not his board, not his assistant, not even himself. He told her to wait. Then he canceled his afternoon meetings. For the first time in years, he walked out of his office and into the cold street, not for business, but for Lila. He met her mother, Sarah, a woman in her early 30s who looked 10 years older from exhaustion. She was polite, hesitant, and apologetic. "I didn't know she went there," Sarah said, eyes wet. "She saw you on TV at the shelter fundraiser and recognized the building." Graham didn't offer pity. He didn't lecture. Instead, he listened. And then he offered something different. "I don't know how to be a dad," he admitted, "but I know how to show up." Over the next weeks, Graham began visiting. First just on weekends, movies, hot chocolate, small outings. Lila showed him how to laugh again. And slowly, he saw how much he had missed in the pursuit of money. Sarah was hesitant at first, protective. But over time, she saw Graham's efforts weren't a game or a charity act. They were real. He even helped her find better work, using his company's community program, not as a handout, but a hand up. Months passed. Spring bloomed. Lila's envelope stayed in Graham's drawer. Never spent, but never forgotten. A symbol of what matters. One day, Graham asked Sarah if he could adopt Lila. Not to replace anyone, just to promise he'd never leave again. They both cried that day, not out of sadness, but out of the beautiful ache of healing. And so, a girl who tried to buy a dad ended up teaching a man how to be one. Not with money, but with courage, love, and a belief that even the coldest hearts can remember how to feel. Some stories don't start with perfect families. They start with broken pieces, gently glued back together by hope. And in the heart of Toronto, that's exactly what happened.